Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're continuing on with The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, and we are up to chapter 10, and by that I mean chapter 13, which is entitled 10 Heartbeats. And so this chapter opens us into action. Last chapter we left off the High Prince Dalinar, Prince Adolin, Renarin, and the king, their cousin and nephew, King Elhokar, are on a hunt for a great Chasmfiend. And as we find out last chapter, it's not exactly a true hunt. They sort of lure the massive Chasmfiend to where the hunt is going to take place. They pelt it with arrows, and then once it's so weakened, they get down into the chasm with their sharblades and sharplates and kill the creature, cut out its massive gem heart. And this massive thing, sometimes as large as a man's head, is what they bring back with them. And that not only gives the different camps of each high prince respect and honor and glory, it also gives them wealth, because these things are absolutely ridiculously expensive. Well, didn't go as planned. The animal, the massive chawl that they were hanging over to sort of lure the creature, when the dead creature essentially was hanging there, a chawl that was carrying it began walking away from the chasm and pulled up a frayed end of the rope. And Adolin sort of makes a comment off the cuff like, isn't there supposed to be a creature on the end? And doesn't get to finish it, because in that moment, this massive Chasmfiend is not crawling up where he's supposed to. He's coming over the side of the chasm where all of the defenseless members of the court are at. And that's where the chapter ended. Well, we come here into chapter 13, 10 heartbeats, and that is how long it takes to summon a shard blade. And so these shard blades are not like normal swords. They have to be summoned, and they essentially appear out of the mist into the hand of the individual who has bonded the shard blade. If they drop the shard blade, it can clang to the ground, but they have to mentally command it to stay in material form. If they release it when they drop it, even mentally, it actually shades to mist. And then it takes 10 heartbeats to intentionally, mentally summon it back to your hand. Well, 10 heartbeats. Dalinar is charging towards this Chasmfiend, and he is feeling every single second that it is taking for his shard blade to appear. He's rushing, he's shouting out commands, he's got his hand outstretched, waiting for it to appear in his hand so that he can go and fight this massive Chasmfiend. Well, on the 10th heartbeat, his shard blade, Oathbringer, appeared in his hand, and Oathbringer has been bonded to Dalinar since his youth. This is not just a weapon, this is not even a tool, this is truly an extension of who he is. He charges toward the beast, and Adolin as well. Adolin does not hesitate. He goes, though, and finds his massive horse, his Rashadium, mounts the horse, his horse's name is Sureblood, mounts the horse and also charges in to the beast. Sadeas, High Prince Sadeas, he does not, as we mentioned last chapter, have a shard blade, so he commands for his grand bow, that he needs his shard plate in order to draw back. He commands for it to be brought to him. Everyone is trying to prepare as quickly as possible, because this 14-legged fiend is creating absolute havoc. It is a massive creature, and the goal is to begin to cut the legs off so that it is stranded and it can't move, hopefully before it deals out too much death and destruction. The problem becomes when King Elhokar disobeys. Now, he's the king, so he can technically do what he wants. But in this situation, Dalinar is the general. He is the one who has the most experience. This is actually one of the first hunts that Elhokar's ever been on. And he is shouting out orders, Dalinar. He's shouting out orders. He's commanding people to move back and forth. Well, Elhokar keeps disobeying. And he is not going to be denied the victory that he feels he is deserved and he is owed. He rushes in towards the fiend, actually trying to fight it, and it's not going well. He actually is on a horse as well. He's wheeling his horse back and forth, his massive rashadium, and because of the weight of his shard plate, the actual bind on his saddle snaps, throws him to the ground. Dalinar is seeing his very life flash before his eyes, and he's racing towards the king, but the massive Chasmfiend got there first, and like in slow motion, he's picking up his massive claw to strike down onto the king. Now he's in his shard plate, but that is not going to last for long with the size of this creature. But last minute, before it does crash down, a massive arrow buries itself deep into the shoulder of the Chasmfiend. Dalinar wheels around and sees Sadeas from a distance, bow in hand, who has launched an arrow, obviously burying it where he was aiming at. Dalinar takes a slight breath of comfort. He raises his shard blade in thanks to Sadeas. We are given a little reminder at this point in the chapter. They do not like each other, but what brings them together is their loyalty to Gavilar and now to his son. Sadeas returned the motion, signaling, "I will protect the king as well." And that gives Dalinar time to rush in. Adolin as well is time to rush in. So they are sort of warding it off, fending it off. They are backing up, closing in, backing up, closing in. But Elhokar, again, gets up and he shouts out at the creature, "Are you a god?" And he goes charging back in again. I mean, how many times do you have to be absolutely laid on your back before you realize, let's let the soldiers take care of this. Let's let Adolin and Dalinar. But nothing doing. Dalinar sends his horse away with a command and gives a sort of mental, "If only the king obeyed me as quickly as my horse obeys me." Adolin had rushed beside Elhokar, warding off the beast's remaining legs. What happens here with these shard blades is that you actually, if you cut through flesh, be it human or a creature, it doesn't just sever the appendage, it actually kills the entire appendage. So if you cut off your arm, let's just say here, right across your forearm, the entire arm would die. And so that's how they're actually really dealing damage to this massive Chasmfiend. Well, they're trying to, cut off the remaining legs. Adolin, though, is sent careening back across the rocks. He missed one of the legs as it came flying from behind his purview. And in this moment, we get sort of inside the mind of Dalinar. There's so much chaos, and not only fear, but adrenaline begins to pump. And I'll read what's written in the chapter. Something had changed inside Dalinar in that moment. Reservation vanished. Other concerns became meaningless. His brother's son was in danger. And Dalinar is going to straighten up. He's going to leap as hard and as fast as he can toward the Chasmfiend. He's going to roll because once again, Elhokar has been knocked on the ground and he doesn't see another claw coming right down towards his back. He rolls and in a feat of immense strength catches the claw of the Chasmfiend. And he's holding it up with everything that he's got. Adolin kind of is coming to at this moment. And as his vision is clearing, he looks forward and sees his father, not only with an act of strength, but immense courage and bravery. And of course, in the previous chapters, Adolin has been bemoaning. Adolin has been grieving the fact that his father is not as aggressive. He's not living up to his reputation. That all Adolin longs to see is this brave, courageous, and mighty warrior called the Blackthorn, right? That's his reputation. A fierce, the most fierce warrior in Roshar. But in that moment, Adolin knew that he was seeing him. And what we read is the Blackthorn, the very man he'd been wishing to fight alongside. And that encourages him, that emboldens him. He rushes towards the beast. He comes around the outside of it because he's trying to kill his father, and he slices off some of the remaining legs. The Chasmfiend falls without being able to hold himself up. The king had recovered at this point, and Dalinar points to the neck of the creature. Elhokar summons his shard blade, stabs the creature in the neck, killing it, making it a lifeless beast of what was such an entity of terror. Now is lifeless, still fearsome, but lifeless on the ground. Elhokar approached again with a mighty shout. He dug into the beast's heart, reaches in with his shard plate, and rips out the massive gem heart. And it's described here as an emerald ball the size of a man's head. Adolin here comments that he'd never seen one as large. Well, Elhokar turns around to the men now who are coming out from hiding. He holds it aloft. The grisly prize, we read, golden glory spent, appearing all around him, and the soldiers that he commanded yelling in triumph for their king. So that is how the chapter ends. 10 heartbeats, incredible action. We learn a lot about our characters though. Dalinar will do what it takes to protect not only his family, but his loyalty to the king. Adolin is a noble soldier. He jumps in without a second of consideration or hesitation. Sadeas will protect the king, even though he and Dalinar do not like each other. They are rivals, trying to find power, trying to find authority in this fledgling kingdom, barely holding together under Elhokar. And Elhokar is someone who is so desiring of power and respect that he puts himself and his men in very, very foolish positions. But that's how the chapter ends. 10 heartbeats. The shard blades can be summoned. It takes time, but when they appear, they are mighty tools for these Rosharans. Thanks so much for watching. If you would consider liking and subscribing to the channel, that would be a wonderful addition and help. Thank you so much. Any comments that you have, I'd love to answer them and have a conversation about these characters. But until next time, we'll catch you in the next video.